All right, says we're live.
We are live.
Cool. We are live and locked and loaded here. This is Yankee Chatter episode, I believe, number 32.
32, yeah.
32. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, both of our channels, thanks to StreamYard. We'll give it a little plug here. Hopefully it goes smoothly now that we're paying for it.
Usually that's when it gets worse.
Well, knock on wood. Not that you can see me knock on it, but it's there. So yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna try and do this on Facebook as well. I know Brad's noticed we've been getting a little more traffic with people liking the page there. So we'll see if people are watching and tuning in and is it showing on? All right, nice.
We're good.
Well, that's a good start. So so we're gonna try that out. If people like it more on Facebook, let us know. We're trying to make sure that everything is on all of our platforms, so it's a little bit easier to navigate or go between everything. So anyways, my name is Greg Andriano. You can find me on Twitter at GregAndriano05. I'm on behalf of the Baker and Bradder Sports Network and Sports Show. These are my buddies up north, Bradder and Big Tuna.
In quarantine.
And we're in quarantine mode still. Still working through that.
Are you guys... Have they limited your stuff yet? Are you like reopening or not yet?
Supposedly we're reopening on Monday. I'm not going back to work, but I don't know all the ins and outs.
The beaches are open and all that, right? Already?
I think the beaches are open, and then small things are like little things here and there are opening up. I don't think you can gather more than 10 people.
Yeah.
And
I think Bradder would agree with me that New York's probably going to be the last state to really open.
Yeah, they will definitely be last.
Well, they got the most cases right now, right? So
New York.
The city does, at least.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts. They're all like a big coalition. So I guess they're making decisions together.
Okay, well, that could be good, And it's Michigan. You don't want to live in Michigan. They rioted in front of the Capitol the other day. So it's like, well, people are starting to get angry.
Yeah, they're doing little things in every state like that.
Yeah.
People.
You think people would enjoy having not to go to work and being able to stay home? And
dude, that's what I would thought too. I'm even getting those.
I know some people don't like to be told when and how they can leave their house. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But we're passing time down here. I'm playing a lot of MLB The Show, and Amanda starts school tomorrow. So
oh shit, good for her.
School, really?
Yeah, she's going back to school, which is really cool through Disney. So for early childhood development. So it's all online, but it's pretty cool. So we're excited about that.
Seems like that's kind of her area of expertise,
right?
Yeah, well, she loves kids, and she works with them on a daily basis, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of her, so it's good for her. But I'm
pay for it. That's even better.
No, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, Disney pays for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, they pay for her education, and then they'll reimburse her for textbooks. So.
Nice.
And the program will take about a year and a half, depending on what
worth it, right?
she ends up structuring her classes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's worth
it. So she's getting started and starting all the reading, and I think classes start this week. So
I majored in sleeping in my truck.
Yeah, and in related news, Tino's unemployed. So
yeah, right. Yeah. Well, so what?
So what about you guys? How you guys?
Me and said, "How did you buy a house?" I was like, "I have rich grandparents."
It's all about who you know, Dad.
Yeah, right.
Isn't your dad a doctor?
Yeah, right. Jesus.
What was that? Step Brothers. Yeah. It's all yep.
Yeah. Great movie.
Oh yeah. Bradder, I believe you celebrated your son's birthday this past week. So
turned 2 on Tuesday.
That's awesome. Saw some pictures.
For the shout outs and the gifts and all that.
Yes.
I sent him some loud shit for you guys.
Yeah, it's at the same. I think it's the same company as that train you got him for.
I know. That's why I bought it.
I go to Daniel. I'm like, yeah, Tino just buys everything from China, so.
No, I bought it on Amazon.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just
it's good. He likes all that
yeah,
stuff.
no, I knew that you guys hated the train, so it's like, well, I gotta get the fire truck then.
I didn't mind the train. It was that damn dinosaur you bought him.
Oh yeah.
If you keep hiding that one.
Yeah.
That was cool with the fire truck drive by you guys had.
Yeah.
Some pictures Danielle posted.
That was awesome.
Districts are doing that around here, so you just set
That's really cool.
Saying when his birthday was, set up a time, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Is it the one that was right across from where I'm gonna live? That fire station? Cool.
Unfortunately, now that every time he hears sirens, he looks at the road, thinks they're coming down our road.
Oh, jeez.
He'll get over that.
Yeah,
that's awesome though. Well, happy birthday, Jack. He was awesome. Why don't we get down to business here? It's May 3rd. We're recording this and streaming it, and Major League Baseball and other sports are still trying to figure out when or if they're starting their season. There's a lot of conversation around that, especially with Major League Baseball. We talked last episode on a potential realignment of the divisions, and I think that's the best plan, the way that they had it and the one we already discussed, and having it in their spring training locations. Everybody's already been there, and it's all kind of set up to do that. I know there's another plan that came out last week, and Brad, I think you sent it to me, or to both of us.
Yeah, it was a plan that they wanted if they were going to have games played in their actual home stadiums instead of spring training stadiums, which I don't really understand how that would work, especially in New York. So, I don't know.
Well, you got two teams in New York, and the pretty much the worst infected city. Yeah. So how's that? That's not gonna.
Yeah,
that's not smart. You could never keep those people away. They'll find a way to get in to watch it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. No matter what, we're talking about games with no fans too. So it would just make more sense to me just to play at your spring training facility.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The big difference, and I'm sure you've heard this on spring broadcasts, is when they play in the spring stadium, because they're smaller stadiums, because they don't go up 150 feet or whatever. The wind definitely has a bigger effect on catching fly balls and
see that spring training games all the time.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting, because when that happens in spring, those are meaningless games. They're exhibition games, so they don't really carry any weight. But if you get a fly ball to center field and the wind takes it and carries it 30 feet to the left, and the left fielder can't track it or whatever, that's going to be interesting when something like that happens in meaningful games. But if you think about Yankee Stadium in the summer in left field, they always complain about the sun being right in the left fielder's face the whole game. So on day games, and that always plays a part. Or in Tampa, you have the stupid catwalks up in the effect that are in play, which is, I don't get that.
I will never understand baseball being in a dome, because you can hit it that high if you really tried. You know what I'm saying? It's
Tampa's the only one I ever remember them.
Well, they had trouble in
talking
Toronto. About. Maybe it was Montreal. They were having trouble with the catwalks and being able to keep the field somewhat not like AstroTurf, because AstroTurf is horrible. It's gone now. They don't have AstroTurf anymore. But I remember, and that's why the Expos kind of fell apart, is because they couldn't keep a good stadium, which is I will never understand why baseball is a dome.
Which is crazy, because this was the year that the Rays were supposed to split time between Tampa and Montreal, and they were going to end up playing in the ballpark that the Expos used to play in. And I would assume
one team would have the two worst stadiums in the league.
Yeah, I would assume that they would have invested in transitioning that AstroTurf to the new synthetic.
Yeah.
But still, I would not want to play any. I mean, I already don't, as a Yankee fan living in Florida, I already don't want to go to Tropicana Field, because it's literally the worst ballpark I've ever been to. I've been to about 8 ballparks, and that is by far the worst. And I've been to Toronto. Toronto's not bad. It's boring. But Tampa's the worst. Everybody's on top of each other. You sit I sat down the first baseline, and the seats don't even face the field. You're sitting in right field, and you're facing the right fielder. You have to turn your whole body to watch the pitch.
That's annoying.
Yeah. So, but I mean, maybe someone else has had a different experience. But in my opinion, I don't like.
If they go and they do the spring training thing, what happens to because AAA is not going to happen. AA is not going to. Or those guys just they don't have a job.
Well, they're in negotiations actually to make sure that the minor leagues do continue.
Oh,
and
okay.
If you're familiar with how spring training complexes are laid out, is they have the main field then they have a bunch of secondary fields that are adjacent to the main field. So there are probably 6 fields, and if you look at it on the Google Earth or Google Maps or whatever, the satellite image, you'll see they're all right next to each other. So we kind of talked about it a little bit last week, is that you could have the major league team play on the big field, or you can arrange it where the AAA team plays Hulkster.
You want to say hi? You can freaking hounding me this whole time. Say hi, Hulk.
Hello, Hulk. You crazy.
The pressure's on. Now he won't say hi.
Keep going.
But you can have the multiple complex. I mean, the complex allows for the different levels of minor league baseball to still play. Whether or not they do it and how they schedule it, so because you probably can't have it where you have one game a night. Like, you're probably going to have the minor league games during the day.
Yeah.
Right. And then schedule it up to.
How it work, yeah.
And then obviously there's still some travel involved, so maybe you also stagger them so only 2 teams play on a field at the complex per night or per day or whatever. I don't know. There's still some coordination that has to go on there, but I feel like that's the best way.
It's got to be a horrible job if you're like you're the event coordinator, and it's like screw that.
They'll have to come up with it in a very short amount of time. Mm-hmm. I think the plan that you saw, Brad, I think they were targeting June, or are they still targeting June? Have you read anything otherwise?
Yeah, the end of June, right? I think.
I haven't been keeping
They're going
to
try to, from what I read, they're going to try to squeeze 100 games in. So they didn't say what they're going to do, but I'm guessing a lot of double headers, because I don't know. Someone wrote something about maybe them ending in December, and I get it being in Arizona and all that stuff, but that's a lot of. Mm-hmm. They're going to lose viewers, because of football. But then again, people are saying football's not going to happen this year. So it's
so that creates a dilemma for some of these spring complexes, because the Yankees Steinbrenner Field is right across the street from where the Tampa Bay Bucks play. You could see Raymond James Stadium from Steinbrenner Field.
Interesting.
So, and they probably share parking. I mean, obviously, they probably won't be starting the season with fans or playing the whole season with fans in the stands, which is crazy to think about.
I think parking lots is something.
I guess that's.
Dude, think about this. Think about this for Tampa Bay. There's a possibility where they're going to have Tom Brady in that stadium and the Yankees on the other stadium. It's like, dude, you guys should be making a ton of money for your economy, because there's going to be Tampa Bay Bucks Stadium is going to be sold out when it can be with him there.
If they got fixed one of these games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's Tampa Bay, if they don't allow them to go to the games, they're probably like, "Oh my god!"
There's the irony of the situation is you'll have Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski playing in Tampa for the Bucks, and then across the street you'll have the entire Yankees, which are projected to win. Were projected to win or be a major contender this year.
Yeah,
and you can't have fans come watch. That's the humorous / frustrating part of the whole situation for owners, at least.
I was going to say those owners are pretty stingy, man. I'm thinking they're going to find a way to get some asses in the seats, because that's how they make their money. Those PSLs and all that. Because if you can't go there, you don't pay. I mean, I think they have to pay the PSLs just to keep the tickets. But those season tickets, some of them are like $50,000. For some of those stadiums, and it's like, that's the thing is like it's almost like they're going to have to barricade those places for people not to try to come in and at least look through the fence, or you know what I'm saying? It's just
and the crazy thing is they might have to depend on streaming platforms and cable and all these different things a little bit more. I mean, I know there's probably a big demographic that pays for, and I'm one of them that pays for MLB TV. Well, think of all the more people that might end up having to pay for it because they can't go to the games, because they can't rely on going to games. And I know you're in network, so you wouldn't be able to pay for MLB TV to watch Yankee games, but maybe they lift the blackout restrictions, which are ridiculous to begin with.
that's what I was going to ask is like, okay, so let's say they do the blackout thing. And it's like, if you have a game going on, you're going to have announcers. And if you want to practice social distancing, they've got to be not at the stadium, because that's just being like, well, you're letting them in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just, that's the thing, is that as we get closer and closer to these leagues opening up, people are going to get more and more antsy to want to get out there. And especially if they see people, there, like, because there's going to be, at least for the football game, there's going to be, if it's football, they're going to have at least 180 people. And for baseball, it's like 100 to make everything go right. And that's where I think people are going to start getting antsy.
Well, one of the things that, and this is actually going to be a nice transition, because this week, the Korean baseball organization, the KBO, is starting back up. Their games start on Tuesday, the 5th. And I was looking up some of the rules that they have, and
looks like
to high five your team. No, and
we keep losing Greg here.
You're not allowed to high five your team.
Hold on,
freezing up on me.
Greg, you're killing us here.
Let's see.
Here, you guys.
We can barely. You're like fading in and out.
There.
This is why we do it live, for a little bit of comedy relief as well.
My internet must be going really.
At least
wow. Yours is not even.
Talent is still going here.
It's a good thing we got so many people watching.
Yeah. That's got to be it. There's so many people watching us right now.
You guys are saying right now.
We're screwing up everything. We're ruining the streaming.
Click.
Isn't the guy from Korea dead though? Didn't that guy die?
Oh, I heard the rumors about Rocket Man dying there.
Yeah.
If anybody's watching,
I don't know what the truth is on that.
But that's are they?
Korea.
I'm trying to think. Are they? They're playing South Korea, not North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea.
Oh, okay, North Korea. Okay.
Not gonna have baseball in North Korea.
Yeah, okay, all right.
You lose, you die. There,
Yeah. Right.
I think I'm back.
Nope.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Back. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
And he froze.
Did he freeze again? I think he froze again. Your internet sucks, Greg.
Again.
Goddamn Florida people.
Well, when you're cheap and you pay for basic internet,
Is there a thing where you can pay for better internet?
There's different levels of internet you can get, yeah.
Isn't there didn't they create like a 5G? Or that's coming?
I don't know.
Maybe. But no, so if you always have trouble with the StreamYard. And we still lost him. If
we get a word or two at a time.
but
you guys keep talking.
Okay. But if they end up playing in Korea, like I didn't read anything about if they were going to not have are they going to have people there?
I didn't read anything about it. I assume they're not going to have people there.
Dude, but they're having I don't know if you know this band, but that crazy girl band, Baby Metal. They had a concert in Japan 2 weeks ago, Easter weekend, with 120,000 people in the stadium. How is that practicing social distancing?
I did not know they were allowing that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know either, but
there is a state. I forgot what state it was that said as of Monday concerts can resume, but I don't know.
Texas, maybe?
I can't remember, but I don't think the bands or fans are actually going to go for it still, because it's not still the bands. They're not going to want to play. It's not safe.
Yeah, there's nobody there except for people that are standing. There's a big barrier. A straight line barrier, and it's no mosh pits, no nothing.
What if they had the band playing on stage with a huge plexiglass wall in front of the stage?
But dude, that's what I'm saying. It's just when I look at the people, they're in their car and they got their face mask on, and it's you're alone.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all. But so do you understand what I'm saying about the Tampa Bay thing? There is no way they can keep those people out. If they have at this, you know what I'm saying? Once football starts.
I don't know about in this getting in the stadium, but they're definitely gonna be crowding the outside of the stadium.
Tailgating.
You know, like can you see like when the teams are in like Stanley Cup Finals or Super Bowl, and they always show the hometowns and crazy in the streets. That's how it would be.
But Tampa, how many teams will they have? Like 3 or 4? Or are they all going to have their different locations? Well, they don't share spring training facilities, do they?
No. Well, yeah, actually, some teams do. There are facilities that have 2 teams sharing.
Okay.
Am I back? Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yeah. We can hear you.
You can join the conversation if you want now.
All right. Opportune time because I can impart my knowledge here.
Yeah.
Most of the teams in Florida have their own complex. I believe the Astros and the Nationals, of all teams who played in the World Series last year, they share a complex. I think the Marlins and the Cardinals share one as well. But I think that's it for here in Florida. If anyone's watching and you happen to know or can look this up, let me know or let us know in the comments. But in Arizona, I know there's a number of teams. I think, Brad, where your family used to live in Surprise, wasn't it the Royals and the Rangers or something like that?
Yeah, Royals and Rangers shared. I think the ones in Arizona.
I think more in Arizona they share than compared to here.
So then, okay, this is such a stupid question, but I'm still trying to learn. Why does Tampa Bay leave Florida to go to spring training?
No, they're in Florida.
I was about to say, like, why would you leave?
No, they're not in Tampa. You would think that they would have moved things around, but actually, the Yankees moved to Tampa in '96. They were in, I forget where they were before this, but they weren't in Tampa always. And they moved to Tampa. And then 2 years later, the MLB had the expansion where I know those eyes.
Jesus.
Careful, you'll turn to stone.
Those eyes anywhere.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Scared the hell out of me.
When I told you guys I cannot get an hour to myself, I mean
it.
It's
what was I
finally
saying?
above 70 degrees.
You're so. I was about to say it's gorgeous outside right now where we are too, and it's like I'm sitting looking out the window. I wasn't going to exercise anyway, but it looks nice.
If you wanted to go for a jog, you could. Is what you're saying.
I could, yeah.
The opportunity is there.
Yeah.
All right, carry on, Greg. Sorry.
No, but so the Yankees moved to Tampa for their spring training in '96, and 2 years later, that's when MLB had the expansion and added on the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So they were already established in Tampa. I'm assuming if the Rays were around before then, that maybe they would have looked elsewhere, and Tampa would have had. But Port Charlotte, I think, is an hour and a half away from Tampa, so they're not that far away.
Yeah,
which is why there's so many more Yankee fans in Tampa than Rays fans.
Of course,
Yankees were there first.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. It's funny how Tampa Bay, except for the World Series, I remember World Series they were packed, but other than that, when you watch the highlights, it's like how can they pay their people, and they really can't. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't really go after big free agents.
Well, no, they don't. They draft very well, and they have a good farm system.
They're a very well run organization.
Yeah,
and they also get a majority of their income from the revenue sharing process because they are a small market team. So big market teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, Red Sox, all those teams that have a payroll over like that go over the payroll threshold, they have to pay a luxury tax, and that tax goes to the smaller market teams. Right? So
some teams like the Rays use that money for good things, like building a team. And you get teams like the Pirates, who are actually, I think MLB is taking them to court because their owners just take that money and just pocketing it.
Yep.
That's funny.
Just ridiculous.
I read that the other day because I was trying to learn about the luxury tax. And like they said, the A's do a good job with it. The Rays do a good job with it. The Pirates take advantage of it, meaning they don't help their team. They help themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? They do.
Now, a team that has probably crossed over from taking advantage of it to actually reinvesting is the Padres because they put out that big contract for Manny Machado. They made some good trades the last year or two, and they actually, I think they could make a run not for the division because the Dodgers are probably going to be top of the division for a while now, but at least a good wild card contender. But that might be all hearsay now because of what the realignment might cause and who your opponents might be. Because the thing you sent out, Brad, that if they played in their home parks, that was they pretty much took all divisions and combined it into a super league. So like all the AL East and NL East teams were in one division, except they swapped the Braves and Pirates. So the Pirates would have been in the East, and the Braves would have been in the Central. Which again, I'm not sure how that works, because the Pirates are very close to Detroit, geographically speaking, Detroit, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. So you would think that would be a good place for them to travel to those ballparks. But instead, they're in the Eastern Division, which you still have two teams down south, which are further away from the majority of the AL East and NL East teams compared to like Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Cincinnati and Detroit.
I wonder if they did any kind of like analysis about competition or what fans were like to watch specific games. Like, like I wonder if there was a disadvantage of playing Pittsburgh in a league with those teams rather than putting them in a league with all these great teams.
Well, I guess okay. So think about it this way: if you look at both Central divisions, you have probably all the worst teams in Major League Baseball. You'd have the Pirates, you'd have the Tigers, you'd have the Royals, you'd have the my mind's escaping me right now. Well, the Reds are supposed to be contenders this year.
Reds are going to be good. I think Cleveland might take a step back this year, actually.
Mm-hmm. So, but then you have teams like the White Sox who completely reconfigured their team this year. Then you have the Indians, who are usually reliable, even though they might take a step back. The Twins, who are a powerhouse in the Central now. Then you have the Cardinals, the Cubs, and then the Reds. So there is some competition there, but maybe adding the Braves to that, because the Braves are a contender in the East, maybe that just makes it more exciting. I don't know. I still don't understand the logic behind it. If someone would explain that to me, please do.
It kind of seems like they're favoring the big market teams a little bit, which, I mean, do you blame them? I mean,
if you're gonna make any money in any of this because you're not having any fans, then you're gonna have to rely on those teams that draw fans and that draw viewers. And the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, all those big market teams, they're going to be the ones that do that. So
it's honestly, it's just like any sport. The commissioners of each sport wants the big market teams in the games. Like that year that the Royals were in it, it was like, man, oh man, that's got to be tough to, because no one watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's the thing, is like they need those big market teams, maybe even more this year.
Mm-hmm.
They need those teams to produce well.
Well, the cool part about that alignment is that the Yankees and the Mets would be in the same division.
Which is, that's kind of cool.
Which would be cool, because then you'd have Subway Series, multiple Subway Series.
Yeah.
Which is good for New York baseball, not necessarily all of baseball.
It's not good for all baseball. I mean, the World Series between the Mets and Yankees, I think, at the time, was the lowest rated World Series ever.
Mm-hmm. Because the stadiums are 20 miles apart, if that, and the majority of baseball fans aren't Yankees and Mets fans.
Yeah. It's funny, you talk about the Rays and stuff. That was the hardest jersey for me to find to get custom made, because I didn't want the ones they have now. I wanted the Devil Rays one.
Dude,
I found.
I'm glad you're saying this, because I think the Rays should go back to those Devil Rays, the original Devil Rays uniforms.
It took me forever to find it, and
those original jerseys were awesome. I wonder if
they do.
Is there a reason why they took the Devil out of the Devil Rays, though? Was it like
I don't know.
Like a scandal?
Maybe.
You can't make fun of Satan?
I'm not sure, but they changed to the Rays because they had the and they had so when they first came in the league, they were the Devil Rays, and it said Devil Rays across the chest.
Yeah.
And they switched to those. Remember those green uniforms they had for a while? That's when they switched to the Rays. It just said Rays across the chest. And then they switched to the blue uniforms they have now.
Remember the Rays and Jays came out with the same uniforms at the same year? They looked identical.
Yeah. Well, some of those jerseys, I don't understand why they change it. I mean, that's the cool thing about the Yankees, that they'll never change.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Mets, I don't know. They've never changed, have they?
Well, they tweak. I mean, they're always the same blue and orange and white, but they've had black alternate uniforms. They've had the blue.
I understand, but like the Astros jerseys, I thought were so cool with the rainbow with the white up top, but They barely.
I like those. And you remember in the 90s they had, I don't know if you remember this, Tino, but Brad, in the 90s they had, when Randy Johnson was an Astro, they had the star, that like the silver star that shot across the chest, and it was silver and good.
I got that jersey. Yeah,
I like
you
that
do?
one. That's pretty
You
cool.
do? I like those. So one of the cool things about MLB The Show is that they have like all the uniforms for all the teams. So you can play a season as the Rays, and you can have them wear their Devil Rays uniforms all the time, which are cool. But and the Rays do sometimes have a throwback game where they'll wear the original Devil Rays, and they look so awesome compared to, because think of all the teams that are navy blue in Major League Baseball. More than half of the league is navy blue.
Yeah, there's a lot of blue in the Major
So them having that rainbow, like the 90s, there's purely 90s colors, like the teal and the neon colors mixed in there. But it was so different and original, and I'm just going off on a tangent here, but I think they should bring them back and have them as their permanent.
Well, that's what the Marlins did. Marlins were like that neon blue, green for a while, but then they switched to like the rainbow color now. I actually kind of like their jerseys now.
That's the tealish blue and neon pink, the pink color. Those are Miami's colors. Like if you go to, that's the city's colors. So if you watch the NBA, they've been wearing they call them the Miami Vice jerseys, because I have a friend that's a big Heat fan down here, and those are awesome. So once they started doing that, that's when the Marlins kind of switched over. And I like those uniforms better than the orange, the ones they had when Stanton was a Marlin.
Yeah, like orange, black, and blue.
I didn't really care for that.
So you'll have Jeter's Marlins in the same division now as the Yankees.
Yeah.
And we can actually transition this into another conversation we can have now about A-Rod wanting to buy the Mets. And now you're going to have A-Rod and Jeter having competing franchises in the same division, which I think is awesome.
Now,
they're going to be in the same division as the team they used to play for. That's awesome.
I think that's
this year,
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead, Tino. Sorry to cut you off.
Is he getting a group together? It's not just him.
Him and J-Lo, right?
J-Lo, they're probably going to need other investors because, it's probably going to cost them at least $1 billion.
I think they said $1.5 billion, and I was like, for the Mets, which like the Yankees are like triple that, but still, it's like they're the Mets, and I hate to say this because I know people. I always loved A-Rod, but I honestly think if he took over the team, that the team might start to produce a little bit better.
He's a really smart guy, and he's actually his income must be. I can't imagine how much money he's making now because he's everywhere. He started out just on ESPN as an analyst. Then he grew into like this bigger guy. Now he's got his own TV show on.
He's like Michael Strahan, dude. Michael Strahan.
He's totally reinvented himself since he's retired. I mean, think of when he retired. People couldn't wait for him to leave the Yankees.
Yep.
Myself included. I mean, I was not a big A-Rod fan, especially after the whole season suspension and steroid stuff. And now I like him. I think he's great. I think he's great for the Yankees.
I'll tell you this. Yeah. Is he fessed up? He faced the music. He admitted what he did wrong, and he to this day still calls himself an idiot and tells everyone that he acted like a complete idiot back in the days when he was still playing, wanting to sue the union and sue the Yankees and all that. He said he was just being a jerk, and that's the best thing you do when you get into trouble. Is you come forward, you face the music, you admit you're wrong, and then you move on. People like you.
I loved that one time when he was in trouble and all of a sudden he could only speak Spanish. Do you remember that one? Where it's like
I don't remember that. No.
English. It was like, dude, you've been speaking perfect English for 10 years. Like it was during the trial stuff, but he had his own thing. Like they didn't.
He grew up in Miami. He's an American citizen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
him and J-Lo, they had the face. They could probably both run for mayor of Miami and win by a landslide.
True.
And I'm just going to go out there. I like them together. I think it's great because because she has a couple kids with her from her past relationship, and he has a couple kids from his past relationship. And they seem like a really good family, and they good fit together. And I think it's good for both of their images that they're together and that they're always out there. And he's very supportive of her and vice versa. So I think what he's done with his image since he's left the game of baseball is amazing. And the Astros, not to always go back to the Astros, but they should take note of what he's done to reinvent himself because they still haven't apologized, and they're never going to get the punishment that everyone wants to see them get, and they're just going to go on like nothing happened. And the fact that this season is the way it has turned out is great for them because they don't have to face the music that they would have had to face for a full season.
Exactly.
And they can they'll get to play in their spring training park if that's the route that Major League Baseball ends up going with. So they don't have to travel across the country. They don't have to deal with fans being in the stands, heckling them.
No fans.
If
able to give it to them this year.
If you could tell me that a team would get caught cheating, get penalized for it, and then have to play with no fans in the stands the rest of the next season, that's like the easiest punishment I've ever seen.
The fans will tell Astro fans will tell you right now. To be dead honest, they'll say we'll give up some draft picks and lose our manager if it means getting a World Series. They don't care. In their eyes,
they don't care.
So, but that's the thing. Is like, could they ever? Like they took care of the manager. Can they ever punish the actual team? No, they can't.
They granted all immunity,
but you know what I'm saying? Like, but they can't go, Houston. You can't play this year. You're done. Like they could never do that.
I think in order for them to get the confessions that they needed to even bring this to the public, is they needed to have the players and the team probably sign a waiver saying, we'll look into this as long as you don't kick us out of the league and as long as you don't punish our players directly. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have signed anything or admitted to anything.
I still just...
Which is why I think a lot of these players like Bregman and Altuve and Springer, they walk around with this sort of snarkiness and cockiness that you see them with because they know, hey, I pretty much got away with murder in sports.
Altuve plays the bad guy role a little too much, in my opinion. You can't be 5'5" and be an asshole, you know. I know he's not 5'5", but you know what I'm saying.
I think he is. I think he's like 5'6", 5'7", something like that. Good guess.
He's got a Napoleon complex.
You know what's funny?
He does.
I watch him on TV and I see how small he looks in the batter's box, and I think to myself, "Wow, wait, I'm like 2 inches taller than him. I look the same if I was him."
I'm gonna look it up.
Guys are on, so you can actually go to the stadiums and watch them live. Then he really knows how big these athletes are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing.
Because you look at a lot of these Yankee players, they're all 6'5", 6'6", 6, and they all look the same height. And then you get Altuve next to them, and he looks like a child.
Yeah, no.
What was Jeter at? Jeter was what, 6'4"?
Something like that. He was over 6 feet, and he looks tiny.
How tall he was.
To me, he did not look as tall as he was. To me, like A-Rod looked tall, but what is he?
5'6", 165.
Oh Jesus!
Which means realistically, he's probably 5'5", 155.
That means Nick could play baseball, bro.
Right. Altuve looks like Nick did in Little League. That's sad.
He's little. I was little.
Dude, it's so funny because like we talked about it before because like I was saying, well, I'm the tall one. When I looked at a picture, I was like, Bratter, I thought you were like 6 foot. And it's like, no, you're little.
No,
you're little too. Not too little. 5. What are you? 5'10"?
Damn Italian in us, you know. It stunts our growth.
It doesn't help when you have short parents.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Jesus. So going back to the Rays thing really quick, because I forgot to say this. My earliest memory of the Rays was Wade Boggs. Did he play for the Rays?
Yeah. He left the Yankees, and I think he joined the Rays through the expansion draft or as a free agent or whatever. I'm not sure how he got on the Rays, but he was on the Rays. And Fred McGriff. They were both on the Rays when they were a new team. And Wade Boggs got his 3,000th hit as a Tampa Bay Ray. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they retired his number.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
I think they did because he's a Hall of Famer. And
to me, the only other guy
he went in as a Red Sox, but he's still
the only guy I would think that they could retire a number would be Longoria, right? The only other.
Well, Longoria's still playing.
No, that's what I'm saying though. When he's done, he's the only one I could think of that would be worth.
And they had some really good players back in the day, like they went to World Series, but no one really stuck around like Longoria did.
Yeah, no, Longoria. Yeah,
he might retire him.
Like BJ Upton faded away fast. Carl Crawford
David Price
faded away.
David Price.
Scott Kazmir was like their ace for years and years and years. He left. And,
mm-hmm.
Dude, it's honestly, if you think about it from we've all played sports, and imagine playing in a stadium where they're not really giving you a lot of shit for half the season. There's barely anybody there. Just relax.
I would like to get some athletes' opinions on this. Like, how are you going to act when you're playing a game in front of no fans? Like, it has to do something to your head. Like, the adrenaline's not going to be pumping as much.
Well, think back to the playoffs. Think back to the postseason when the Yankees would play the Angels like every year back in the 2000s.
Yeah,
remember they had remember they had the rally monkey and they had those stupid noisemakers. Yeah, that if that's not your fans rooting for you, I would assume that's got to drive you crazy.
Oh yeah,
being a visiting player in a ballpark that is that loud and they're not rooting for you, they're rooting for you to fail. That's going to mess with you a little bit. Plus, it's got to get so.
I think it would be beneficial to pitchers. Like pitchers, to me, if there's no one in the stands, they play better.
Probably.
You're concentrating on that. There's no other, and I think that's like if they started with no fans, I could see a lot of pitchers starting their season out really well, and they're not that good. You know what I'm saying? Just because they don't have any, like, that could mess with you a little bit, I think. Whenever I played, I really never noticed the fans unless they threw stuff at me. But other than that, it's like you never, like in hockey, it just tunes out sometimes. You forget there's people there, but
it's gonna be a lot easier for both hitter and batter to concentrate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might actually get some really good games out of this than, some people are saying the games are going to be boring, and it's like, yeah, but if you're watching on TV.
I hope they stir up, if this happens, I hope they stir up some chatter out of the dugouts. I'd like to see some heckling going on.
That'd be nice if they mic'd up the players.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because they were doing that in spring training before they ended it.
Do this all season long.
Yeah, that would be.
Just before I forget, the Rays have retired 3 numbers. Jackie Robinson, of course.
Okay.
Wade Boggs is one of them, and Don Zimmer was the other one.
Oh, okay.
He was a coach, and I think he died right while he was with the Rays.
That was the guy that got thrown by Pedro, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was such a dick move.
It's Pedro. He's an asshole, but he's a great pitcher.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing is like I didn't realize he was Expo for a while. Like that's where he started out. I just thought he started out in Boston because that's all I remember him by.
No, he played for the Dodgers too, I think.
He played for the Phillies. He played for the Phillies as well.
I think he's famous for being an Expo and Red Sox.
I'm gonna look it up. But Randy Johnson was an Expo as well.
Yep. I do know that. Did you see they just released too? Unfortunately, they released the toxicology on Roy Halladay. Like it came out like 3 weeks ago, and he was all hopped on shit. Like they found meth in his system and
that's too
weed and pills, and it was like, man, oh man, why would you do that to a family?
Yeah, I know. I know his wife or kids. Someone was pretty upset that they did that.
They did to the poor kid from Miami, too, that got thrown off the boat there. It was like 3 weeks later. It's like, he had coke in his system. It's like, why?
Jose Fernandez?
Yeah, why would you do that? He's a kid.
Yeah.
He wasn't
That was a shame because he was a really good pitcher.
Yeah, no, I remember him.
And if he doesn't die, then the Marlins probably look a lot different right now.
Well, everyone thinks he would be a Yankee by now.
Yeah.
So Pedro came up with the Dodgers. He went to Montreal. Then he went to Boston. Then he did 4 years with the Mets, and then he retired as a Philly.
The Mets. I forgot all about the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because wasn't he on? No, he wasn't on the Subway Series team. But he was on the Mets.
No, he was with Boston then.
But he was on the Mets when they tried to, I think it was St. Louis beat him out to make to the World Series against the Tigers, I think. But,
that sounds accurate.
Yeah, no, it's just.
I think because 2005 was when the White Sox won, and then 2006 was when the Cardinals beat the Tigers.
The only reason I remember
he was on the Mets in 2006. So.
I honestly think we were all watching it together. That's why, because it was the Mets versus the Cardinals. I think we were sitting in Brother's house watching it. It's just funny though, because like Derek Jeter, a guy like that, like you don't realize how hard it is to stay on one team in this day and age. Like he
played the same position for his whole career. Not a lot of people do that.
It's like I said to myself that Derek Jeter and Tom Brady are the only people that will stay on their team forever, and I was wrong. About Brady, not Jeter.
Wrong about that one. Well, because it's such a unique situation because both the team wants to keep you around even when you're older and not yourself anymore, and the player has to be able to be willing to take team-friendly deals towards the end of his contract.
Which
so
Jeter
both
was
sides have to come in.
Jeter was probably making so much money on endorsements. His contract probably was just like, yeah, I put that in savings. You know.
I wonder how Patriot fans feel about Gronk right now.
Well, how's your wife feel? She's a Patriots fan.
Nope, she twitched. We were there to see it.
She's more of a Green Bay. I don't think she actually watched the Patriot game.
She actually told me and Bradder that we need to tell your cousin, her brother, that we allowed her to change. You know, I don't know why me and Bradder are the keeper of that, but
really, I mean, Tom Brady. Like, fans can't be mad at Tom Brady. He played his whole career there, and then at the end of the day, people just really didn't want him. They called him, I think, one time since the end of the last season. So you don't mind him leaving. But Gronk retires on his own terms, and then only comes back because Tom Brady asked him to play with him within Tampa Bay. Yeah. So if I'm a Patriot fan, I don't like Gronk is Gronk. Everyone loves Gronk because the way his personality. But do you still like him if you're a Patriot fan right now? And think about it, if Gronk is a Patriot last year, they might have went a lot further.
And you say that, but it's just like, you know, a fan favorite going to another team. It's like, do you really hold it against them? It's, you know, I mean, the guy was beat up. He took a year off. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of just like, I get it. He didn't want to play for the Patriots anymore. And I know we're going into football here and we'll go back to baseball. But the whole thing here is that it's not the players. It's Belichick. Belichick is just a dictator. And I did a video last night about Andy Dalton signing with the Cowboys. And I'm like, Bill Belichick is going to try to have the worst team and he's going to try to make the playoffs. So it's
they're going to have a terrible year, and they're going to draft
Lawrence.
Yeah. I don't see them. Lawrence might be the number one picks. I don't think Patriots can be.
They'll never be bad. But so if they do,
who do the Patriots have? Who are you scared about right now? The Patriots.
Not Amendola. What's his name there?
Edelman
and Sony Michel. Go Dogs. But
I can't have one really good area at the Patriots right now.
No, they're just not. But we'll see. You know, they're in a shit division. That's all it is. Buffalo's getting better, but Miami's
getting better. Miami's starting. I think they had a great offseason.
Yeah, I don't know, but dude. There again, just like with baseball, they might have to make some decisions, and I'm really nervous that they might not have a full season, just like baseball. It's going to be interesting because it's like in your head, honestly and truly, when this started, there was no way that sports was going to be canceled. There's no way. And then they started canceling March Madness stuff, and it was like, holy shit. Wow,
there was all at once, everything went down.
Well, it's just the money thing. I hate to say that. It's the money thing. Like baseball, too. I mean, they need the money. You know, they need the money. They need the revenue. Those smaller teams.
May. So you got May, June, July, August. You have like 5 months to the start of the NFL season. They're already talking about it not happening. It's crazy. Which if that doesn't happen, I mean, I think inevitably, in my opinion, it's still only a matter of time now before the NHL and NBA cancel their seasons.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a season. You can't play the rest of the year. Then have playoffs, and then you expect these guys to turn around and start the next season again in September.
No, they need that break mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So I think those are done deals. And now, especially if you're not even talking about the NFL starting when they're supposed to, that means those sports are definitely gone.
If they don't play football this year, you're going to have to get a search party because I'm running away. I'm going over to Europe and start watching soccer. I need some fucking sports. The one question I did have, because you guys played more than me baseball-wise, is a doubleheader that difficult to do?
No.
Okay.
Catcher.
Okay.
Depends.
Yeah. But and the pitcher obviously doesn't pitch twice.
Usually you don't have the same guy catch 2 games in a row, and you have different position players moving around. So it is something that you'd have to really plan out if you're a manager or GM.
I mean, because I played in a wood bat league before I moved down here, and we'd have the occasional doubleheader. And I would tell you the next day I was feeling pretty sore compared to a 1 game day. So it does take a little bit of toll on you. I mean, these players are pro athletes and they're in tip-top shape, so probably isn't as bad for a guy playing shortstop 2 games in a row. But definitely what Brad said with the catchers, and obviously you're not going to have the same pitcher pitch, but you might have different relievers pitch in the first game as compared to the second game.
Right, relievers can't normally pitch both games. You have to strategize around that.
And especially this year.
Depends on the weather too. I mean, if it's 90 degrees and humid out, you're gassed by the end. Your energy's gone by the end of the game. You need to turn around and play another one. You don't mind it once in a while, but I can't see it being part of the normal schedule.
Well,
as a selfish fan, I hope they do it.
I love having baseball all day and the Yankees all day. But going back to what Brad said with the relief pitchers not being able to pitch, it probably would have more of an effect on them this year, because this year they were starting the 3-batter rule. And you couldn't just bring a guy in to face one guy anymore, and then he could pitch in the next game. They have to face 3 batters unless they end an inning. So if you bring a guy in and he gets the last out of an inning, he can take him out. But if you bring him in, and there's no outs, or there's one out, he has to face at least 3 batters.
At least 3. No, I mean, I get it. I was thinking you need 1 out left in the 8th, and if the guy ends the inning, it's like, well, you put in your closer.
Yeah, you can do.
That you can do. Finish the inning, you can do that. Yeah.
But if you can't bring the lefty specialists, like those guys that only face left-handed batters, those guys they're pretty much, their careers are shot now, because now you can't just have them come in. They have to reinvent themselves. Yeah, they can't just come.
You can pitch to more than one than the lefty.
That's how I've always felt. I never liked I always thought a lefty specialist was stupid.
I'm willing to bet that those lefty specialists are only that because that's what the teams and the organizations make them. I'm sure they don't want to go out there and pitch against one guy.
Well, yeah. You're bred as an athlete and as a baseball player your whole life. Most of these guys came up as starters in college, right?
Right.
They were starters when they were drafted, or in high school or whatever. So they make it to the big leagues, and now you're told, well, you might only get to face 1 batter every other game or so. I mean, it's great that you're there and you're in the show and you're making millions of dollars doing it, but at the same time, part of you probably is like, well, I want to face more than 1 batter. I want to throw the whole inning at least.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll, with the doubleheader situation, if they do it that way, do you think they'll expand the roster? Pitchers
they're talking about instead of continuing spring training, just having expanded rosters.
And they had a rule already where if you played a doubleheader, you could bring up rosters were going to be 26 guys this year anyways, but you could bring up an extra guy for a doubleheader. So they'll probably expand them. Maybe they'll expand them to like 30 or something like that.
I just think
you don't want to go get overboard and have like they had in September's past, where just a different pitcher every inning. But you want to make sure that your players are healthy if you're playing an absurd number of doubleheaders.
And that'll limit the injuries as much as possible, especially with pitchers. You don't want them to have dead arms, by God forbid October,
But that would be the benefit of having the season at these spring training complexes, because if your whole organization is playing in the same complex throughout the course of the season, then you don't have to worry about plane or bus transportation. You just call them up and they're over there in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's easier coordinating all of that for them, I would think. So to me, that whole alignment of using the spring training complexes and reorganizing the divisions based on Arizona and Florida, that makes the most sense to me. I think that's what they should do.
I would really like to know which way MLB is leaning, and if there's certain deadlines that, if it's this date that we're going with this plan, this date we're going with that plan. I'd like to know which way the leaning is. I don't see any reason why you would go away from the spring training model that they came out. That just makes so much more sense, and safety and everything. So much easier.
You would want to, if you're the commissioner, you'd want to err on the side of caution, right? To me, having them play in their home ballparks and even minor leaguers just creates too much chaos, too many unknowns. If you can limit it to a region or an area and all these guys, and you have certain protocols that's set in place for these areas, that's more you can control. So to me, it just makes more sense. So it seems like we're all on the same.
And there's no fans, so what's the point?
Who cares?
That's my thing. Is like, if there's not going to be any fans, why are you worried? You've got one of those rosters that there's floating players that are either going to play in AAA or they're going to come. It's like a floater kind of thing. But I've always loved the in the sports that have farm leagues, like how quick they can get the jersey ready, everything. You're good to go. They'll just literally come in the locker room, change, and go. And they have the jersey. I think that's so cool.
That's someone's one job is
Yeah, just keeping those things. Yeah, that would be a perfect job for me to make jerseys.
It would be. Maybe we should look into that.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Hey, I think that'd be fun.
Right.
Get a job with the what's it called? The Tri-City Valley Cats out there.
I was about to say, is there even anybody left in Albany area that we have sports? That's the only one now, right?
For baseball, yeah.
I'm saying for sports in general, that's the only one.
Yeah,
everything else is gone.
Yeah, I mean, there's other. Yeah, because there's no more arena football now. That shut down. There's the Albany Patroons, which are kind of shitty basketball, and obviously no hockey other than college. So yeah, that's about it.
Sucks. We live in a town that we could have had so many good teams in the area, and no one went. It's our own fault.
Bring back the Albany County Yankees.
Yeah, no, what were they? They were the Diamond Dogs too at one point, right?
They were the Diamond
Dogs. After the Yankees left.
Because
but they weren't affiliated with anybody. They were an independent team.
League, yeah.
But they had who paid? Jeter played for the Yankees, and did Rivera?
Rivera, Pettit, and I think Bernie did too.
Wow. Well, I always forget that you've got to be a special player to just get drafted and go on the team. You know, it takes a little bit of time to get yourself.
Well, now in every sport now, they don't let you really develop. They kind of just throw you right into the. If you're gonna keep growing up, but I don't think there's ever been a time more than now when there's so many like 19-year-olds debuting in the major leagues.
Yeah, which is.
Hockey, I mean, now you're getting more polished product.
You're like 18 years old. You can come out right from junior right to the NHL in hockey.
Yeah.
Who, Jack Hughes?
I don't know how old Jack Hughes was.
Jack Hughes was 18. Yeah. No,
because he came out of high school.
Yeah, no, it's and then you're right, Brad. It's honestly, it's like I think it started like after LeBron did it.
Yeah, he's 18.
You should have started. You saw a lot more. But I also think that in every sport, you throw these kids into the fire, you could ruin their career. I mean, some of them just can't rebound from. And I can only imagine. Like I remember, Strasburg came out of college and he started pitch, but he did well. You know, but I also remember some guys that got lit up and you never heard from them again.
But that's how sports are. You got hit or miss prospects, and not everyone's a guarantee. Yeah. And the thing is, I think the reason you're seeing more and more of these kids, these young kids coming into the pros, is that they're more polished. I mean, think about it. When we were that age, we didn't have that many travel teams. We didn't have camps and things. I mean, they were there, but not like all the time. And our baseball season in upstate New York was pretty much April, May, and June, and then you didn't really have many summer options unless you found a travel league, and the competition wasn't there. But these kids train year-round on all these sports. So by the time they get to high school, they're polished. By the time they get to college, that's even more. So they're like they're there by the time they get drafted. And then if they produce in the minor leagues, then they get brought up even faster because they're young and they're under control. They don't have to pay these big contracts.
I think a lot of that goes to the development of sports science. Sports science has flourished in the last 10 years. And now these kids know exactly what to do. And that's why, like, I know it's your body and sometimes it screws up, but, like, the pitchers that develop dead arms, it's like you know what you need to do to keep your arm right, you know? And it's just like some of them but that's anybody. Like you're saying, some of them just aren't made out for it.
And then you get these athletes, they're so, like, and we talked about it when Stanton got hurt and has been getting hurt over the last year or so, is he's a big dude and he's ripped. He's a muscular dude, but he works out so much and he's wound so tightly physically that you also wonder if all this training is necessarily not the best thing for these athletes, because if they're working out so much and they're so tight muscularly that you don't give your body a chance to recover, and you don't give your body a chance to you're just too tight. It's funny you bring that up. If you look at hockey players, professional hockey players, they're not ripped. Some of them have guts. You know, it's just like, in my opinion, and obviously I go way overboard with this theory, but you need to have a little bit of fat on your body
that's why I stopped working out.
That's why.
I was pulling muscles while I'm pushing the lawnmower. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It just seems like you need to have a little bit of fat on your body for it to kind of help, you know, because like the best players in the world in hockey, if they didn't have their jersey on, you're like, man, they just look like a normal person. Like football players, they're monsters, stuff like that. But you see a lot more injuries in football, even in baseball. With, like you're saying, these guys are they're harping on the technology and the health and all that stuff. And I know it's all good for them, but it's like Babe Ruth didn't work out. I bet you fucking Mickey Mantle drank a fifth of gin a day, and he would probably still be good now. It's just, to me, it's like I look at baseball wise, who was the guy from the Yankees? He was throwing a no-hitter and his shirt kept coming undone. What the hell is his last name? The fat bald guy.
David Wells?
David Wells, that's who it was.
Yeah, he always had this. Yeah,
the shirt kept coming undone as a no hitter and stuff. But he was a guy. It's like, that's awesome. He looks like a normal guy, and he lasted for how long?
For a while. He played for a long time.
Yeah,
but you don't see that. You don't see that anymore. At least in baseball, most of these guys that come up, they're pretty in really good shape.
What about Cologne? Cologne's like built like a Oompa Loompa, but he could still throw it.
Yep. He was trying to make a comeback this year, I think.
Dude,
he went pitch last year. No one would sign him, so he's gonna try again this year.
I don't understand why people wouldn't put him in as their fifth starter. Like, it's just he tries so hard.
He's better than a lot of these younger guys, but I don't know if it's a money thing, like if he's asking for too much. But I think at his age, for him to just be on a team and take league minimum, I mean, that would be more than enough for me.
That kid from the Phillies didn't he? Myers, wasn't he like 48 when they won the World Series and he was the pitcher? Myers, I think.
What's that guy's name? Jimmy Moyer.
Moyer,
Actually, like 50, yeah.
Yeah, he was, but he won a World Series at like 48 for the Phillies. I think it's just that's the thing is, like, even my father, who was a very good football player, he was like, I was not in the greatest of shape. It was just I could play football. And he's like, these guys now are so strong. And he's like, it's a disadvantage because they're going so fast. When they make that collision, it's like a truck hitting a truck. It's just something's going to break,
Yeah, Jamie Moyer pitched until he was 49.
49. Okay.
He played with the Phillies in 2010 at 47. I guess he took a year off, and then he made a comeback in 2012 with the Rockies.
I was about to say he played for Colorado.
Yep, he made 10 appearances. He went 2-5 with a 5.7 ERA.
The Omaha Mud Hens.
So yeah, he made a couple.
And that's
impressive,
the thing, dude. It's like some of these guys, they could sit on the couch and they just have it. That's all it is in baseball. You got to have it. You can be as chiseled as you want to be, but if you can't hit the ball, go be a male model. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing is, like, some of these guys, you get upset. It's like he doesn't take care of himself, but every third at bat he hits a double or a home run. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's all that matters.
Well, Andres Galarraga played till he was old, right? Really old.
Him too.
Ricky Henderson was in his 40s when he was retired.
Playing the pros, guys. We're only 33. Brad, you're 30. No, you guys are 34.
No, I'm 33.
You're 30. Not yet. I don't want to be 34 yet.
Yeah, no, you're 30. You're 34.
End of the year, we will be.
Yeah, because I'm 34 next year. So you got a couple months on me. So I can make a comeback. I can go play.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
What was all that 1 in a million talk?
All right, Tino. Wait till you move in behind me here. We're gonna start going for some training jogs every day.
We'll stop at Burger King first, then we'll
hit that first. Yeah.
Ice and milkshake.
Yeah.
you gotta
then go for a run.
The milkshake.
Dude, I went to Burger King the other day. They were out of onion rings. How the fuck are you out of onion rings? You're Burger King. Like, come on, man. Go buy some.
The burger is king.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, I know we've been going for about an hour right now. Is there anything else you guys want to add to the conversation? I did want to mention some injury updates for the Yankees players that were injured.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, wow, by the time they actually start playing, all the Yankees guys should be pretty good to go.
Yeah.
Severino might be good to go.
I don't know about that. Yeah. But, Aaron Judge, Stanton, they should be ready to go. Paxton should be ready to go. And Yeah, so those are the big three: Stanton, Judge, and Paxton.
And you
other
guys,
than Severino. Severino's out for the year. But
you guys were saying that this
Severino,
is going to help the
Hicks,
Yankees.
right? Hicks is out too.
Hicks, he's doing physical therapy in Arizona, and he should be ready for June or July.
Okay.
So yeah, you might get those 4 guys healthy before any baseball is even played this year. And you thought they're going to miss a big chunk of time. Well, they are, but so is the rest of the league.
I just want to see. I mean, I hate to say this, but I want to see Stanton play. Like, I know that's stupid to say, but it's like
I want to see Stanton and Judge in the same lineup.
That's what I'm saying.
I want to see them healthy for a full year, and I want to see what that looks like, because that's what everybody was salivating over when they traded for Stanton, is having those 2 guys batting in the same batting order, hitting 50 home runs each, and that has not happened yet.
Is the spring training stadium like Yankee Stadium, where it's
same dimensions?
It's like it's a home run hitter's ballpark.
Yeah, same dimensions.
I think every spring training facility is a home run hitter's ballpark. I don't think there's big spring training facilities.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what, it's funny because like when I was younger and I would play like MLB The Show, I would always go to Coors Field because it was the shortest. Play home run derby, get 30 home runs in a round, be good to go, because it was always so short.
I think even Boston spring training facility has their own version of the Green Monster, don't they?
They do.
Oh, really? Yep. Okay.
Yep, they call it Fenway South, so it's the same dimensions.
They should.
Most of the teams that have their own complex, their ballpark matches their MLB ballpark.
That's just smart.
Most of them.
That's just smart.
But obviously the ones that share, they don't. But
pray though, if they do the season at the spring training facilities, we gotta pray that they get better camera angles, because whenever you see highlights in ESPN of spring training, it's always the worst camera angles.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say this, but I think that that's part of the problem, is they're figuring out how to align so they can show the games. Like, that's one of the things. Mm-hmm. It's like they gotta.
The Yankees do a good job because they have their own network. They can get in there and they can set up and do their own thing. And I think Nesson, which do the Red Sox, they have a pretty good setup. But some of these other ones, like the Pirates or Tigers, they don't really have a good setup. So maybe that's a good point. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to have a quality broadcast, because that's what they're going to have to rely on, getting this out there to fans.
Do you see? I just got this notification that former Oakland A's All-Star who played in part of 9 MLB seasons, Matt Keogh, dies at 64. Guy from the A's. I don't remember him.
Don't know him.
That was before we were all born, so that's weird that came up while we're doing the show.
Well, actually, since we're on talking about that, I just want to pay some respects to Hank Steinbrenner, who passed away a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Him and his brother Hal have been managing or co-owners of the team since their father passed away, and I guess he was battling some sort of disease, but we haven't really talked about it, and I just wanted to point that out, that a member of the Steinbrenner family had passed away, and we hope that the family is able to get through this time, especially with the virus going on, and it's a big deal to Yankee fans and baseball everywhere. So rest in peace, Hank.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I mean, he was young-ish. He was in his 60s.
He's in his 60s. Yeah, he was fighting something. They didn't say what.
Yeah, that's
they said. He never really was really at the forefront, anyways. It
was always Hal.
But,
I was just going to ask that. Wasn't Hal the guy that?
Well, when they first took over, he was, because I remember him making comments and saying things, because he was a lot more like his father.
Yeah.
And then he must have gotten sick, and he kind of took a step back, and Hal's been the forefront, and he's kind of like, boring.
Well,
how's the numbers guy?
Yeah. Boring.
It shows. But anyways, anything else you guys want to add to the conversation before we wrap up?
No, I don't think there's anything new to talk about for this week. We'll have to wait.
Yeah, I think
to see breaking stuff for next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I've been keeping an eye on people that have been viewing. We've had a few viewers here or there, a couple likes.
Yeah.
So it seems like we'll start broadcasting live to Facebook, see if we could get more viewers that way. And obviously we'll post it on YouTube anyways, and on the Big Red Brad Sports YouTube channel.
We're going to try to figure something out so we can get everything at once. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but if you had the chance to tune in, or if you're going to watch afterwards, let us know what you think about having the episodes on Facebook as well. If it's easier for you or whatever, let us know. We're curious. We're just trying to make this so everyone can find us easiest.
Yep.
But with that said, my name's Greg Andriano. You can find Yankee Chatter on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we are on YouTube, and we're broadcasting here on Facebook now. Check us out, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends. Join the conversation. Let us know what you think. And I'll pass it on to you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Go ahead, Bratter.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Bratter, check out our video next week. Me and Tino probably should be doing something soon with the draft results too.
Yeah, we got to do something on that.
Figure something out, so stay tuned for that. Like you said, just tell one about Yankee Chatter, and hopefully we have a season to talk about soon. So,
and we will have a
safe,
giveaway.
everybody.
We will have a giveaway soon for the 2000 thing. With the quarantine, it's just not the time to do it. But once everything, we got over 2,000 subscribers on Bigger and Bratter, so and Yankee Chatter, because we're all within one group. So, be on the lookout for that stuff. We got stuff coming up. Me and Brad are going to try to get a Packers Raiders hybrid show going, which should be fun. But yeah, like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you like Bigger and Bratter, you should like Yankee Chatter. That's all that matters. And what am I on Twitter?
That all rhymed.
Yeah, it too.
Nice job.
You like Bigger, Bratter, check out Yankee Chatter. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
I think you just coined a new phrase, a new slogan there.
I think we need to get a billboard now.
Yes.
Or a cheesy cable commercial, right?
I'll call the trademark office tomorrow. So, but yeah, I'm on Twitter, Big Tuna BBS. We're on YouTube and Instagram at Bigger and Bratter Sports, all one word. And we'll be back here next week. Stay safe out there.
Yes, please do. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you all soon.